Hello guys and gals. We're going to try a different way of recording today. Instead of the scripted vocal over the top of an arranged session, we're going to go through this session live. So I'm trying a new way of recording. Let's see how this goes. Today we're going over ILLENIUM's Nightlight. I've done a quick recreation here. I'm going to show you, once we know what we're doing with chords, how we arrange that across our various parts, or how he arranges it across his various parts, so we can learn a little bit more about arrangement, production, maybe sound design too. So that was our verse section. Here's a pre-section now. Meaning pre-chorus. Here comes the drop. Etc, etc. So, how do we do that? Okay, we're going to start nice and simple. How do we get to this arpeggio from our chord theory? So, in the last video, we were just looking at block chords on a piano. This time we have a sine wave synth. Let me show you that first. It's very much like the Alex Rome video. It's just a simple sine wave, it's a low sustain with a bit of decay and release. Sounds very soft, but a little bit percussive. And it's going through our favorite delay and reverb, same as the Alex Rome video again. We've got nasty delay, not that that matters, any delay will do. It's on quarter notes. Should be able to hear that echo off. And our reverb is the Dragonfly Hall. Again, another favorite of mine. So not a piano. We're using this for our arpeggio, and that's for how we arrange that. Again, I'm going to teach you this in A. The song is in B minor, so in the background you'll see I am pitching everything up 2. So it plays back in the same key as the original track. But we don't have to learn B minor this way. We can just concentrate on using all the white notes, because that is our minor scale in A. So, as we discussed in the last video, ILLENIUM loves the axis progression, which is 1, 6, 3, 7. It's one chord every 4 bars at this tempo. We're at 150 BPM. And how do we build our chords? Again, from the last video, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, etc, etc. I've lied to you there. It's one chord every 2 bars. Whoops. At 150 BPM. Okay, so those are our chords. How do we turn them into that verse part? As we discussed in the last video, we know ILLENIUM loves to invert his chords. so that the second note of the chord is at the top. So let's move this up the octave. That's a different voicing. And the rhythm is just this. So as we discussed a few videos ago, arpeggios are just basically segmented chords. So if I just do this for each of the chords, I can do actually all these at the same time because of the wonders of technology. He says, as he messes it up. There we go. Duplicate that. Duplicate that. One more. Here we go. Oops. So, sounding close, but it's not the same. So another thing Illenium likes to do is exploit the common tones between the chords. And in his second chord, on chord 6, he leaves this note here. As you can see, note 3 of the scale is in, this is C in this case, but ignore the specific notes. Again, we're not memorizing scales. Note 3 is in both chord 6, because when we build it like this, as you can see, there. So you can leave it there. That's what he does for his. Now remember, as we talked about implied harmony, not all chords need all notes. And certainly not all parts need all notes, because the vocalist might be singing the rest of the chord there. We don't know. But for aesthetics, that's perfectly okay to do that. Let's move on to the third chord, which is chord 3. Now he doesn't quite do that, it's close, but he actually uses this note. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Maybe it's because the vocalist also sings this. It tucks nicely behind the vocal in the original Nightlight. Also, for the rest of the track, you'll notice this is technically in ninth. This is, if this is note 1, this will be 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the rest of the parts, as you'll come to see, of the whole track, every time he gets to chord 3, he does like to lean on this 9th a lot. It's in most of the arrangements, so that's kind of a running theme. Maybe he got it from the vocalist as well. Maybe it's kind of a bit of both, but that's probably how we get there. And as you see, it creates this common tone for the next chord, chord 7, our 4th chord in the progression. Also, as we learned in the last video, Illenium loves to do this inversion where the bass on his chord 7 runs down from note 3 to note 2, back to note 1. 3, 2, 1. Which makes this a first inversion. As you may remember from the Alex Rome video, first inversion. When you take the second note of the chord, because this would be the chord normally. When you make that the bass note, that's the first inversion. But it's just a name. We don't need to memorize any of that. As long as you understand how we got there. So that's Nightlight, the verse art progression. moving on. So in our verse section here, as you can hear, we still got our sine wave arp. Now we have a guitar that's joined it. Now I've elongated some of the notes here, make it sound a bit more like a guitar. And this note was too low for the for a real guitar, so I moved it up the octave. But other than that, it's the same part as the arp, but it's 1 octave lower. We can listen to these together. So that joins in the verse. If you want to look at the sound, and again, I'm using free software here. This is Spitfire Audio Labs, and it's from the electric guitars Pop Plux sound. I think I've turned down the second slider here because it was too harsh when it was high. That's just going through one of Ableton's built-in amplifiers, and again through our favorite delay and reverb. That gives us and it's joined by a pad, which is exactly what we discussed in video 1. It's the ILLENIUM voicing, if you like. Note 1, note 5, note 3 at the top. Second note of the chord at the top even. That's probably the best way of terming that. And there's just 3 pad sounds doing that. We've got strings. Again, we got that from Labs. Strings ensemble. And guess what? It's going through the Dragonfly Hall. Surprise, surprise. It's filtered down some of the top frequencies because the verse is very calm. We also have another pad here. Playing the same thing. Just the main chords. This is a Piano Pads Glitched patch. Very sparkly. As you can see, I've just taken some bottom end out and going through Dragonfly again. And that's joined by again, same notes. The purpose of this pad is just to add fizz. I call it the fizz pad for that reason. And that's just Vital playing a couple of saw waves with this unison turned on. Lots of voices playing in unison, slightly detuned, gives us this sound. So you're hearing some excessive sidechain there. And that's the verse. Oh, the bass. Just playing the bass notes, but in the rhythm of the kick drum. And again, our bass is just a very filtered mix of saw and sine, lots of release, so the note carries on after the note's not pressed. And that's basically the verse. Let's move on to the pre-chorus, pre-drop. bass marking the notes. We've got our piano on the main chords. Except it's not the full normal chords as earlier, like this one. This is the first two are the classic, the ILLENIUM inversion. And on chord, on the third chord, we don't have the third. He's put the ninth in there. Then uses that for the common tone to do the Chord 7 inversion. That's going on behind the strings here. Now, strings. This is quite the arrangement. So the first chord is our ILLENIUM voicing. Then the second one starts that way, but he adds the seventh up here. Reaching upwards for the heartstrings kind of sound. How does he pick that note? Well, if you just simply build chord 6, you'll notice the next note you get to is that note. Note 7 of the chord. So he's just voiced it so it's at the top. Then we have the chord 3, he's done the 9th here. Ignore this bass note, that's just an octave here. These are the same note. So we have a 9th, which he's doubled at the top. That resolves to the 1. Create this little melody here. So again, we've got our inversion on chord 7, the common tones between chord 3 and chord 7, and this little melody is kind of foreshadowing what happens in the drop melody, which is actually this. Sorry. And then we go out the chord progression one more time, but we elevate a little bit. It's the same, but we've added this top note 1 here, which can be shared across the first two chords, chord 1, 6, and it acts again as a nice little resolve of this top melody here. We call this voice leading. So we're voicing the chords and they're leading somewhere. It's like adding melodies within chords. Voice leading. And again, this is the same. Except we hold this note because it's shared with the last chord, and we add one super drama note, the highest one here. So it looks complicated, but if you think about it, it's just our chord 7 inversion. This melody's led us to, this is the second note of the chord, this is the third note of the chord, so this is just a standard chord. It's just voiced very expansively, if you will. Let's listen to that as a whole. Okay, on to the drop. So, as with a lot of ILLENIUM drops, it's quite noisy, it's quite busy. So we throw the kitchen sink at it. As we say, we've got a distorted guitar. We've got a synth playing those chords as well. And then why not throw the piano in? The pad from earlier, the sparkle pad. Then there's a mid melody here on a string and a synth. Our sub is playing the bottom of the chords. Except it's a slightly different sub with the filter slightly open, so it's got a bit of fizz in there. And then there's a lead line here. And the guitar. So there's that melody I mentioned earlier, which was foreshadowed in the string part, in the pre. And for the main, I suppose you would class this as an arpeggiated melody as well. We've got note 1, note 3, note 4. So this is halfway between arpeggiating a chord and writing a melody, probably because it's not just the notes of the chord. We have passing notes, as we'd call them, notes in between. Or you could argue this is an add 11th, but I'm not going to. Because we don't stay there and we're not on top of any other notes, so I'm just going to call this a melody, arpeggiated melody. We move to note 7 here, so it's 1 3 4 and 7 3 4, and we repeat that. And then for our chord 3, which, if you remember, contains these notes. In fact, let's draw the chords underneath these. That would be our chord 1. So you can see where the notes are coming from. This would be chord, the second chord in the progression, which is chord 6. So you can see where the notes are coming from. And then remember I said on chord 3, he likes to add the 9th. Lo and behold, we're back to using the 9th. That's mirroring that initial verse arpeggio. If you remember rightly, that had that in it. And then we finish with this melody as a turnaround. Whoops. On notes 1, 4, 3. This would be classed as a suspension. Remember I talked about suspended chords? The way this 4 resolves down to the 3 of the chord here. This would be our chord. Chords sound pretty rough on distorted instruments, by the way. This, again, we're using, just take you through the instruments. It's the same guitar, but I've put it through a higher driven amplifier, which I'm using the free software BYOD by Chow DSP. It's basically a build your own distortion, BYOD. I love that plugin. Just reminds me of hooking up guitar pedals. Again, we're going through our delay and our reverb. Same. What do we have here? Distorted guitar, same thing. except I'm playing eighth notes. Yeah, these are eighth notes. I'll take the distortion off so you can hear it. I've done a lot of EQing, trying to get the distortion to sound a bit more like the record, but that's all dependent on context. It's not specifically useful. While we're here, I've taken the delay off on this one. It's just going through the reverb. And to back that up, the fizz synth is doing the same thing. Now here we have some more voice leading. So we got the ILLENIUM voicing for chord 1. But it goes down to a suspended second, if you will. We've got 1, 5, and 2. There's no third in this chord anymore. If we added this would be add ninth. But as far as I can hear, it's doing this. So we get this voice leading melody down here. Again, the ILLENIUM voicing for chord 6. We've got the add 9 here, or suspended second, if you will, for our chord 3. The guitar and the synth are adding the most noise here. That's where a lot of the chorus lift comes from. Again, I've just thrown the kitchen sink, as I said. The piano and the sparkle pad are both playing that same thing without the repeated notes. They're just holding them. And then we have this melody here from the strings and the oh, sorry, the piano, by the way, is from Labs also. From the new Philip Glass Grand Piano Soft preset. For this melody, we have Vital again. We have more detune on the saw wave this time. That's not doing anything. Bit of glide. So it glides between notes. And the bass is just took those bottom notes from the guitar part, but it's just playing the fundamental of the chord until we get again to chord 7 because of that inversion, and that's our drop. There we have it. ILLENIUM's Nightlight broken down. Hope you enjoyed that. And let me know what you think of this more rambly style live format. Hope it wasn't too boring for you. Let me know if I moved too fast or too slow, or not to bother doing that again. So until next time, anyway, leave me a like if you liked it. Leave me a love. Leave me a love if you subbed it. Yeah, leave me a love if you subbed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.